to talk to you about clear cooperation, coming soon, all the lawsuits going on, and basically give a really good explanation of John L. Scott's view on that, because I think we have great messaging, we have a great philosophy that could be articulated, and we do have a stance, on all this. So I guess just to break it down a little bit, there's lawsuits going on for companies that want to do private exclusive listings where they'd be just published with their company. There's also the National Association of Realtors, NAR, who's just changed their policy to allow for coming soons, where you could list your home and not publish it to Zillow and Redfin and the public portals, but it would need to be listed on their MLS for all of the realtors to see, at least, that it's coming soon. And then you have the Northwest MLS, which is, I consider, one of the more progressive MLSs and private MLSs that are not part of the Realtor Association, that have had a policy of clear cooperation, and that when you list, you immediately bring it to not just the MLS members, but to the public as well. So is that a fair breakdown of the different ways?
Clear as mud, right? Because when I'm going out to real estate offices and I ask brokers and agents specifically, like, do you understand what's happening with clear cooperation policy? And they're like, what are you talking about right now? Yeah. And so even people who've been in the business for quite some time, there's a lot of confusion, because like literally every day there's like something new that's happening, and then all of a sudden Zillow will come out with a response to something, and then Redfin will come out with a response, and then Homes.com will come out with a response, and so there's just a lot of like talk and news and different things. And so it's like hard to stay ahead of what's actually happening. And plus, literally, we don't know what will happen in 3-6 months from now, right?
Sure.
How the transitions and some of these new rules, how that will actually play out. And at the end of the day, we're still trying to help consumers, aren't we? I guess if there is one common ground, is just like we're all saying we want to make good policies that are fair, as well as good business practices for consumers as well as the real estate community. We want we're all in favor of choice, obviously, right? And that's been happening for a couple of years now, pretty big, with the buyer agency agreement and the commissions, and so that's been, of course, in the conversation for well over a year at this point. But now we've got this really interesting, nuanced, clear cooperation policy discussion that's happening. And again, CCP, what it's kind of referenced as, and it's been around for a long time, and most MLSs, all this basically saying at a very simple level is, hey, we don't want you to like keep things private, right?
Right.
So again, it can be somewhat confusing. One thing I will say for sure, right, is nobody likes to go backwards, right, Paul?
Yeah.
And so you start thinking about like, oh, I really love my my smartphone, but there are like certain companies now even coming out with smartphones like with no apps. It's got GPS, but like, okay, there's no apps on it, right? So it's kind of going arguably backwards, right? So I don't know if like some of those are going to stick around, but the idea is that, there's an MLS policy in place, right, where agents across firms are sharing with the same rules. I mean, all that came into place for a reason, and part of it was also fair housing, right? So we want to share. Otherwise, like back 100 years ago in the United States, if you were a consumer looking for a house to buy, you would have to go to one office. What listings do you have? Then you would have to go to another office next door, which office, listings do you have? That was prior to clear cooperation policy, right? Today, all around the world, there are still places trying to put in an MLS policy, right? So if you want to buy in Japan, for example, like, what listings do you have available? What listings do you have? And so to a consumer, like, what website do I even go to? I've got to go to multiple websites. What information is actually real? Can I trust it? So we're trying to create much more of that transparency, trust, good processes, good policies in place. And we've got our program called Seller Listing Launch. And we too are trying to use psychology, right, to a degree, but we want to make it available for all consumers, okay? So instead of saying, for example, oh, it's just, just you, we'll give you a private tour. It's just, hey, Paul, the listing is live, it's available, all the buyers are going to be able to see it at once, right? So let's make sure if like this house meets your criteria, you're in there so you have an opportunity to make a bid on it, so that you don't lose out on the opportunity. So it's still using psychology, but it's just being genuine and honest. Like, it's going to hit the market for everybody. Now, to the seller, what we're basically saying is we are going to expose your property to every single buyer that's on the market with all real estate agents simultaneously, and we're going to try to create a buzz that opening weekend, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just like kind of like putting the house on the market on some random day, we're much more strategic in terms of our approach. So we want to invite neighbors. We want all the buyers, to come in on the same day. So literally that open weekend open house. So rather than like just one showing happening at that same time, we're going to list it. It's available for everybody to see online. But then as far as access to see the home in person, we're going to make it available for everybody on the same day. So that's all within the rules of the MLS agreed upon by the seller. We're going to have that opening weekend. So for example, we listed on Friday, all showings are going to happen at the open house, right? Simultaneously, let's say from 1 to 4, with maybe the neighbors coming in from 12 to 1. So it feels like a neighbor, neighbor like party, right? So wow, there's a lot of people, there's excitement. And part of that psychology is going to be like, shoot, I don't want to miss out on this house. This is a great house. This is a great community. I want to buy this home. Let's do that. And that is part of creating buzz. That is what we do at John and Scott. That is Seller Listing Launch. And I think even like you were interviewing one of your brokers who came from a much larger company, and they didn't have any of that kind of strategy. And he was just finding that this is getting their clients even more money, right? And as well as creating more exposure in such a positive way.
Well, yeah, because I think that if you're a broker, and I think at a lot of companies, what they'll do is they're kind of, and I'm not saying this about all companies, but a lot of them do this, where there's kind of this, underlying thing that's really going on, where we're listing it on the MLS, it's getting syndicated to all the websites, they're putting the sign in the yard, and so if you get, let's say, the new bar is professional photos. Okay, so you get professional photos, you list it on the MLS. So that's kind of what a lot of brokers are doing, and then they can show a seller a nice brochure that says, look, I'm going to put you on Zillow, I'm going to do all these things for you, when really they're quite frankly just not doing that much.
Right.
And so what I love about what John L. Scott's policy is with the listing launch, not only do we believe in clear cooperation as a great policy, exposing the home to the full market, but the psychology of, okay, not only do we want to have the opening weekend with the open houses and everything like that and create that buzz, but we want the presentation to be there opening weekend. So we want the staging, everything to be dialed. We want pricing to be positioned right. We want to, when we put it on, there's an entire checklist, and we have in our firms here, we have a listing coordination team that follows that exact checklist every single time, and that includes running social media ads right away.
Yeah.
So we're running ads, going through the whole checklist. That includes the just listed postcards. That includes the open houses, like you said. And why would the open houses matter? To your point, what people don't think about when they think about open houses, a lot of realtors think, oh, well, yeah, we just pick up buyers there. This isn't what sells the house. I would absolutely say that open houses can sell the house. Because to your point, what happens is when you do open house, when you have the opening weekend, the presentation's right. The price is right. Somebody sees it comes on a Thursday, and they see open house Friday, open house Saturday, open house Sunday. It looks really nice. It's priced really right. And you're one of those buyers that's been waiting and looking. What's been happening when they wait and look? They see that either homes sell in the first week, they sell in the second week, or they sit. So the buyers already know if it's been sitting for more than 2 or 3 weeks, either they think something's wrong with it, or they think I can come in and negotiate lower deal. Whereas they also know that there's a lot of other homes in this low inventory environment, especially, that can get bid up or can definitely sell in those first few days. And so we're leaning into that and maximizing that buzz. So when they show up at the open house, if there's 6, 7, 8 other people there, even if they are the neighbors, they're thinking, oh my gosh, like this might be one of those houses that's going to sell the opening weekend. So we're doing everything we can to do help them with the presentation, help them with the pricing and positioning, and help them with the marketing and the activity, so that the buyers, to your point, the psychology is, this is a house I need to move on this weekend. And it works. And we ran the numbers at our offices, and basically, the more we do the listing launch, the more we do it the right way, and the more the trend of getting the house prepared better, staging more often, doing the full launch, doing the social media ads, we see the homes sell for more money in less time.
Yeah.